Hi everyone, welcome back to Brookdale Farm. Well, we're doing a bit of work on the Chamberlain today and we've got it backed into the shed. It's not going to rain in the next couple of weeks, but keep doing this work in the shed just helps keep the dust and stuff out of it. So the job we're doing today, it's a little bit crowded getting around to the back of the shed here. So we've got a couple of issues with the PTO shaft. First one is that the bearings in here are quite loose, and this means that it moves around enough that this oil seal in here leaks. And it's always leaked and it's always really annoyed me. Now these are cone bearings in here, so I don't know whether they're worn out or whether somebody just didn't do them up properly when they put it together last time. We'll take it apart. I've got new seal and new bearings for it. Now, on this particular model, most of the later Chamberlains actually, some of the earlier ones had a different style, but the later ones have a multi-plate clutch in here. So this is the lever to activate your PTO. It's an over-center type clutch, and then there's a clutch pack in here. The later ones, later than this, you could get in through this bung to adjust them and do the clutch up a bit tighter as they wore. On these earlier ones, it was nearly impossible to adjust the clutch. And what I found out the other day on this one, somebody's actually cut a hole in here, and I never knew what this plate was for, but I took it off the other day and there's a hole under here so that you can get to the adjustment to do it up a bit tighter, or to when you're rebuilding it so that you can set it up and get everything right. So we've got a fair bit to do to take all of this apart. Okay, so we've just started by draining the oil. The clutch oil drain bung is just in under here. This thing at the back here is in fact not an oil drain bung. It's for got a little spring-loaded thing, which I think is the pre-tension detent for the in and out of gear. And the main diff drain is in the middle underneath here. Okay, the next thing we want to do is take this linkage off here. It's just got a single pin holding it on. And then we want to undo this row of bolts around here. Okay, so we've got this back cover off. Here's the yoke in here that drives this engagement piece. The multi-plate clutch is right back in there. To engage it, this big nut here is the adjustment, and this one's got a locking tab on it as well, so you've got to take that off before you can adjust it. This piece here is the engagement, goes on the engagement yoke and spreads these fingers here. So when you pull the lever, it pushes this in like that and spreads those fingers out, and that's what engages your clutch plates. Next thing we want to do is undo this housing back here so that we can take all of this off and get to these bearings in here. Okay, so we've got this PTO unit off the tractor now. This is what it looks like without it on, and a lot of these came out without PTO units and they just had a cover on the back there. They were purely towing tractors. So the diff's in here. This is the shaft for the live PTO. It goes up to the gearbox in the front. And that all looks pretty good in there. And actually, it looks pretty good in here too. This is a bit loose here, and so we've got a couple of lock tabs to hold this gear onto the shaft. If I wriggle the shaft on this side, we can see that there's a little bit of movement in these bearings here, but when we turn it, everything sounds pretty good. These bearings on this side look fine. So we'll undo this and get this gear off here, and get those bearings out, and then we'll have a look and see what the rest of it's like. Okay, so we've just got a little fold over locking tab in here. And that was acting like it was loose, but now it's not. Now these are quite an unusual looking nut, and they've actually got a flat side and a tapered side, and the tapered side with a small flat was facing, the two tapered sides on them were facing together. We'll have a look in the manual a bit later on and find out whether that is in fact right or not. This is a very, very fine thread on here. Okay, so I don't have a puller that will fit on here, but it is actually very slightly loose on the shaft. So I am just going to try drifting that out with a block of wood and a hammer. Okay, so here's our gear. It still looks pretty good. These are pretty heavy duty gears in here. We've got a cone bearing in here, and that one still looks all right. However, this is the shaft. These are big heavy shafts, which is great. This bearing race in here is stuffed. I don't know whether it's had moisture in it or what, but it's really not in a particularly good way. So we've got new bearings for this, so we'll set them up. We've got a new seal to go in here as well, and that should hopefully stop our oil leak out of here. Okay, next we're going to get our clutch apart. So the first thing we want to do is take this little locking tab off so that we can unscrew this adjustment nut here. And then we're going to want to undo all of these bolts around here. Okay, so once we've got all of these bolts out, we can lift this piece off. Now we need to watch out for the 3 little actuators in here. Now these are the pieces that the claw mechanisms push down on. You don't want to lose them. Now they push down on this steel plate in here. Now this inside piece here is driven off the engine. It's a little bit hard to get out one-handed. So this is driven from the shaft from the engine. The shaft comes through here from the differential, and then in here is our multi-plate clutch. This outer drum here is what drives our PTO shaft via the gear in the back here. So when we push down on here, we lock up this multi-plate clutch onto here and the splines that are around here. Let me see if I can just lift this out. Okay, so that's our big heavy clutch plate effectively. And in here are all of our multi-disc stack. I've got to clean this up a bit before they'll all come out. So when we put pressure on there, it locks the 2 pieces together and drives our PTO. Okay, so this is some of our multi-plate stack. So we've got a plate with teeth on the outside but smooth on the inside. Then we've got a brassy looking plate that has teeth on the inside and smooth on the outside. And we've got a whole stack of them. So the ones with the teeth on the outside engage with the splines on here. The ones with the teeth on the inside engage with the splines on here. And yeah, we squash them all together and there's enough friction in there to drive everything for us. So we've just cleaned up a couple of these clutch plates, and you can see there's quite a lot of scoring and marks on them. They've all got marks like that look like a bit of orange paint has fallen in. And there's also quite a ridge on the edge here. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah, you can just see it around the edge here. Now when you've got this many plates stacked up together, and they've all got that much wear on both sides of them, and then these have all got a fair amount of wear on them as well, it means that you've lost quite a lot of thickness over your clutch plate. Okay, so we've just taken the rest of the clutch plates out, and you can see on here the teeth here that fit on the spline, and they're reasonably square. They're a little bit tapered, but they're reasonably square. The bottom couple of plates, well, the teeth were worn almost right out, so this plate was about to start slipping any minute now. It's well past replacement time for this. It's also got some pretty big holes in it where the material is just starting to come apart. So yeah, I'm very glad that we've finally got around to doing this job. So we've got a seal in here that's just sitting loosely in at the moment. And I was going to replace this one, but I was going to leave the other seal that's in behind here in place, because I thought probably it wasn't too bad. But having got this seal out, it's got a whole bundle of cracks in it. It's really not in good condition. So I'm going to pull this out too. The bearings in here are fine. They spin really nicely. So we're not going to touch the bearings. But we are going to get this out so that we can get into the seal behind it and replace that as well. So to do that, we've got to turn this over and I need 2 hands to do that. So this is the back side of the cover, and this is the back end of that shaft here. Now there's just a big circlip on here. We're going to take the circlip out and then we're going to drift this shaft out so that we can get to that seal in there. Okay, so we've got the clutch shaft out. You can see at some point in the past it's had a bit of water sitting in here and it's gone a little bit rusty. We'll clean all of that up before we put it back together. Now this is the outside of the cover again. We were driving this out from the back side. And I'm very glad I did this, because looking at this seal down in here, it's full of cracks as well and would have leaked like a sieve. So I'm just going to turn it over and drive this seal out again, and then we can go and get all the parts we need. So this seal here is just so brittle and hard. I've never come across one that is quite that bad. I've seen worn out seals, but not seals that are actually brittle to the point of shattering like this. Because there's oil on both sides of this seal, there's the light duty clutch oil or thin clutch oil on this side, and on the other side there's the diff oil. This is a bit of an unusual seal. So because it's got to seal oil from both sides of it, so this little small one's been a little bit hard to track down, so hopefully I can get something that will work for this one as well. I'm sure there'll be something out there, it just depends how long it takes to come. So we've got this all in bits now. We'll end the video here. I'll go away, clean this up, try and get all of these seals, and we'll come back and reassemble it as soon as I have managed to get all of the parts. I hope you found this little video useful. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!